Good morning, Around the Diamond family. Welcome back for another rousing episode of Around the Diamond. It is Grand Slam Sam and it is Baseball Bill here, and we are live for another beautiful Saturday to talk baseball. I am coming from Toledo, Ohio, where I was last night. If you check the Instagram live at that Mud Hens game, representing who I got behind me. But let's get this going. Baseball Bill, as always, how are you doing on this fine Saturday morning?
Fantastic, Sam. Once we're done with this and it gets uploaded to the site, I'm going to go film another rivalry talk with our camera crew. And today,
Woo!
today it is Braves versus Phillies rivalry talk. So we're going to
Okay.
get a good. It's going to be a good time. And gee, I
So
wonder
is
why I
this gonna
chose those two teams.
I was gonna say, I think this is almost like a preamble to next week's what? No, 2 weeks watch party from now.
2 weeks watch
It's coming
party.
up.
Yeah.
2 weeks from now, it's coming up. So
Giddy
we will touch on that towards the end of the episode. But let's not waste any time. Let's jump right into it.
Mhm.
We are going into the American League, and we are representing the dismal Athletics today with our background. Bill, take us through the AL.
So, so we'll start in the East. The Rays are still doing what the Rays are doing. They're 8-2 in their last 10 games. Orioles are still holding on there. Yankees are starting to creep up. Blue Jays and Boston is struggling right now. Um, Not surprising. Anything in that division isn't surprising to me right now. The fact that you're leading the division in the Central with a 500 record, which would put you in last place in the East and put you in fourth place in the West is awesome to me. Obviously, the Guardians are doing what the Guardians do. Terry F over there is making his moves. The White Sox, pay attention to the White Sox. The White Sox are making their move. Tigers have slipped and the Royals have slipped. Tigers are 1-9 in their last 10. Rangers are doing Rangers things, but we're going to talk about something that happened to them this week a little later on. Astros have slowed down a bit, 4-6, but they're still right there. Angels are starting to pick it up a little bit. Mariners are slipping, and then like the Royals, the A's. Better luck next year. We appreciate you. If the A's make the playoffs this season, it'll be the biggest comeback in MLB history. 65 games in, these guys have won 15 games. They're on pace to win about 40 games this season and lose 120. So
Mm-hmm.
that's where we're at with the American League. Sam, what are your thoughts on the American League?
The East, nothing surprising me right now. All of these teams, and including the Red Sox, are playing fantastic baseball. It's great to see. The AL Central though took a kind of a funky turn because all these teams kind of flip flopped except the Royals. Twins moved I think from third to first. Guardians went from first to second. White Sox went from fourth to uh,
Third.
third, and the Tigers went from second to fourth. So the AL Central is kind of like what we've been talking about before. That this division is going to be won with 85 wins, and in all honesty, it could probably be less if you really put your head to it. Um,
You
and then
forgot to mention you forgot to mention one thing though, Sam.
was that.
The Royals went from last to dead last. Sorry, Royals fans.
No,
Just saying.
no, no. The A's are still dead last. We will
Royals are
keep
trying
the
to catch
A's.
them, let me tell you.
Yeah, because
Anyways,
they're,
keep
they're
going. I'm
putting
sorry.
they're putting so much effort into it. And then in the West, I think for me, the surprise has been the Mariners. I was really having higher hopes for them this year. I was kind of hoping they'd be more in the third, second mix right now, rather than holding strong at fourth, where they've been basically all season. So I'd like to see them pick it up in the next month and a half, especially going into the break, and have some movement going from there. But,
Amen.
overall, nothing's really too surprising. But let's move over to the East. So
National League.
similar to the National League East, let's similar to the American League East. Nothing's too surprising in the National League East, except keep an eye on the Phillies and the Mets. These two are battling back and forth for third place. Mets have been 3-7 in their last 10, so they've taken a dive. I think they were in second last week, if I remember correctly, and now they're down in fourth. And Phillies are playing great now. They're starting to put some pieces together. Moving over to the Central, Pirates took over that first spot, moving the Brewers down. Reds, though, keep an eye on the Reds. We're going to talk about this a little bit later in the Around the Diamond, but they have brought up a superstar who is going to be fantastic to watch for years to come. We will get into that in a little bit. Moving over to the National League West. The Diamondbacks are continuing to hold strong and continuing to win games. 8-2 in their last 10. I think if I remember correctly, they are now on a 4 or a 5-game win streak. The Dodgers, though, have taken a slip, 2 games behind the D-backs, moving into second. Giants holding strong just with that 1 game above 500. And the Padres keep doing what the Padres have been doing this year, which is just shocking, I think, all of baseball. Bill, anything on this side you want to touch on?
Sure, 30 seconds. Braves ran into the Mets, and the Mets lost. And the Mets had a tough time with the Pirates last night. The Phillies are starting to make their move. I hope they do it after this weekend because they're playing the Dodgers this weekend. The Pirates are here to stay. We'll talk about the Reds in a second when we get into some of our topics. The Dodgers slipping. They've had 3 walk-off losses this week, which will do it to any club. And then the Padres, if you watch the Padres, they're not putting series wins together or winning streaks. They'll win 1 and then lose 1, win 1 and lose 2, win 2 and lose 1. Like they're not being consistent. Now they are playing the Rockies this weekend, so giddy up, they got a shot. But
That's true.
Keep in mind that the last 3 full seasons, 19, 21, and 22, the National League division winners were under 500 on June 1st. In 19, the Nationals, who won it all, were under 500. In 21, the Braves were under 500. And in 22, the Fighting Phils were under 500. The Braves were so bad that they were under 500 on July 1st. So there's still some room for the Padres. I'm saying there's still room for the Padres, the Reds, the Phillies, the Mets. Let's not count it out just yet.
Well, anything can happen. That's the great thing about baseball.
Yep.
So moving into some stats this week, just to highlight a couple of things. Bill, you want to take us through the batters?
Sure. So Lewis is amazing, batting 400 right now. Somebody asked me yesterday if I think he'll bat 400 for the season. No, I don't. Unless he goes on an extreme tear over the next couple of weeks, the dog days of summer will catch up to any hitter. And so staying at 400 is going to be tough, although it's nice to see right now. And I hope that he does. That'd be fantastic. Freddie Freeman is doing what Freddie Freeman does. He just got off of a 20 game hit streak. Ronald Acuna Jr. is phenomenal. Bo Bichette, Yanni Diaz. I mean, these guys are just hitting a ton. Alvarez, we're going to talk about him. 55 RBIs. Devers, Marcus Semien, and then Pete, I can't find a jersey that fits me correctly. Alonso, we'll talk about him in a second too. But Marcus Semien is kind of having a revitalization of his career. 50 now, mind you, we're 60 some odd games into the season, right? 63, 65, depending. So that means you've got another full group plus some. So Marcus Semien could end up with 125 RBIs this season. And Yordan Alvarez, and we'll talk about him in a second, could end up with a bunch too. So these aren't surprising to me. Some of the names are surprising, but it's not surprising that we're seeing these numbers because offense and defense have been fantastic this season.
So, Bill, I want to ask a quick question. Do you think any of the RBI leaders on this list could hit 162 RBIs and have it stack up so they have at least 1 RBI per game in the regular season?
No, the one person that I thought might be able to do it is currently on the IL, and we'll talk about that.
We'll talk about it in a bit. Now, looking over in the pitchers.
Good question. Great question.
Yeah. Looking over on the pitcher side, Shane is still doing what Shane has been doing since the start of the season, and that's winning. leading all of baseball with 9 wins right now. But a long list of guys with 8 right behind him. So these guys are not, shying away. And it only takes Shane 1 loss for any of these guys to catch up to him. It's very, very easy. Taking it over to the strikeout leaders, though, Spencer Stash Strider is still dominating on the mound.
The stash.
The stash is just blowing people's minds. He did have a tough loss this week, but still, 121 home runs in 65 games in the season at this pace. Bill, I want to ask you: do you think Spencer could possibly get to 275 strikeouts?
No, I think he's going to get 300. I think
Yeah?
he'll cross that magical line of 300. As long as he stays healthy for the season, the Braves are dominant right now in the National League, and they come in with a little bit of swag. So, do I think he can get to 175? No, I think he'll get to 300. He just has to
Okay.
stay healthy.
Well, around the Diamond fans, mark this down, put it in your books. Bill says Spencer Stash Strider 300 home runs by the end of the season, October 1st, where we will see the Angels play at least one game in October.
Yeah, there we go. I will say something though, Sam. This is interesting. All these 5 players that you have listed on the pitching leaders board for wins all have a shot to have 20 wins this season because they all play for teams that produce offensively.
Now,
and so
I did have a secondary question to that.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any one of these pitching leaders that you feel is going to win their Cy Young, hands down, lock and loaded, no questions asked?
If you ask me that
or
today,
is it a toss-up?
On June 10th, I would say either Shane or a name that you don't have on here who has 8 wins as well, and that's Gerrit Cole. Gerrit Cole is pretty dominant. So Shane or Gerrit will win the Cy Young. If you ask me right now, Nathan Eovaldi's having a revitalization of his career too. So who knows?
It's true.
Great
Anything
question.
can happen. So let's talk what we like to talk about real quick. Let's look at some of these stolen bases. Now, we actually had a very small jump in stolen bases from last week to this week. I actually think this might be our lowest increase from stolen bases week over week since the start of the season. We only went up about 160 stolen bases in the last week, where typically we've been pushing on a 200 stolen base count average. So it is pretty interesting, but Esteuris Ruiz is still, hitting the leaderboard with 30 stolen bases. Just hit that this week. Ronald Acuna is behind him. Franco is still doing what Wander Franco has been doing since he came into the league, and that's shining. Bobby Witt, same thing. He's really been the only shining light in Kansas City. And then Ji-hwan Bae just kind of makes his appearance and then falls off for a couple of weeks. Anything on the stolen base?
No, I'm going to say those 160 stolen bases this last week, 140 of them were against the Dodgers. We don't know how to hold people on. And when Noah Syndergaard throws over to first base less than John Lester ever did, if that tells you anything.
Well, so the home runs. When does Noah get designated?
He's on the IL right now, and that's a conversation that
that
you and I will have offline. That might be our conversation next week. So
fair enough. Yep. Bill, take me through these home runs.
Yeah, giddy up. We still have some pop going. Obviously Pete Alonso, Arson Judge, Max Muncy, Yordan Alvarez, Kyle Schwarber. Kyle Schwarber is one of the best June hitters ever. So you might see this pop up a little bit. You might see him end the month with 22 to 25 home runs, which is awesome. But unfortunately, we're going to have to talk about 2 of these guys on the next slide, which will slow this down a bit.
Yes, we will. Now, something to keep in mind, there were actually six, yes, six players tied for fourth place.
Yeah.
When it came to
Yeah.
home runs. One of which was Mookie Betts. So,
Yeah.
while the Dodgers are taking little hits and stuff like that, they are still getting popped,
Oh yeah.
and they're
They
not
still got
shying
pop.
away from it.
They still got pop. They can't steal bases and they can't defend against the stolen base. So
Yeah. And that's going to get the players, and that's going to really be where things end up impacting you guys. I think, what was it? When I looked at the home runs real quick, the home run leaders, we had, oh, okay about this. Yeah, what was it? We had Mookie, Max. Yeah, Mookie and Max are the two Dodgers that are really taking it. And then it's spread out amongst the other 9 teams or
right.
other 8 players. So, it is nice to see that, at least for you guys are still getting pop. It's just finishing up the games that I think you guys, it's going to come. It happens. You go through these streaks every now and then. But looking at
Yep.
the injury report, though, we had talked about 2 of the players on that last slide, and we talked about a specific player on an earlier slide.
Mhm.
So,
So
Bill,
this is annoying.
you want to
This
share the
this
sad
slide's
news?
this slide is annoying. Yordan Alvarez is out, undisclosed injury. Not quite sure for a timetable. Pete Alonso is out. He got hit on the hand. He's expected to come back around July 14th after the All-Star break. Max Fried keeps getting pushed back on his time. Jacob deGrom out for the season. Now, the Jacob deGrom thing out for the season, and I hate to say this, but there's 2 names on this list that could be career ending. Steven Strasburg, another shoulder injury, out till September 1st, but he's always has shoulder injuries and elbow injuries and arm injuries his entire career. Jacob deGrom is 35 years old. He is now going in for Tommy John surgery. That means he'll be out until at least the All-Star break next season at a bare minimum, at a very bare minimum. At 35 years old, the odds on him coming back from a Tommy John that late, we'll see. We'll see. And if you're the Mets right now, you're going, ha ha, told you so. If you're the Rangers, you're shaking your head and going, we're paying him what to do what?
and
So
and what makes it worse for the Jake DeGrom thing, real quick, is that they didn't insure that contract.
nope.
It was too. They found that it'd be better off paying him his first 4 years and releasing him in his 5th year, rather than paying the liquidity of insurance on the contract to be able to get out of it. So it's interesting how they ended up formulating and sculpting that contract for him. But yeah, I think if you're Texas, you're kicking yourself in the behind right now, hard after going through this. And, I look at this as they only have themselves to blame, because this has been something that has been out there since he started to really have his struggles in New York, that he can get injury prone. It should have been writing on the walls that it was going to happen. And the fact that they went that deep, that expensive at his age, I mean, like I said, they only have themselves to blame. So, but yeah, this is a very sad site. This is a very sad report to put together. I did not like putting this together, and it just goes back to showing that baseball needs to do something to protect pitchers. They need to do something better to protect their pitchers.
Yep. Agreed.
So let's talk about our fun topics for today. Then we got the Diamondbacks dominating in the National League West right now. Like, literally dominating. And that's hard for both of us to hear and for me to even say. That the Diamondbacks are just showcasing this young group of talent. Bill, what is it with them?
45 seconds. I'll tell you this in 45 seconds. Major League Baseball, with the pitch clock, with the stolen bases, the bigger bases, everything like that, has made the game faster. If you can hit home runs, so what? If you can If you can steal bases and play small ball, whoops, you went the wrong slide. If
Oh, my bad.
you can hit and play small ball, you're gonna win. And that's what you're seeing the Diamondbacks do. Zach Gallen's pitching well, but this guy on this slide here, Corbin Carroll, he's the real deal. He's young, he's moving, he's got a lot of things going on. So unfortunately for those teams that it happened this week in Cincinnati, the Dodgers hit 4 home runs and the Reds hit 1, but the Reds played small ball. They had like 7 stolen bases that game, and they end up winning the game. So you've got to play small ball, and that's exactly what the Diamondbacks are doing.
Yeah, after years, I mean, we've seen great years for the D-backs. We've seen dismal years for the D-backs. I think we have seen more D-backs games than most D-backs fans probably care to say they've ever watched, because for a long time they've been bad. But now they're really bringing up their youth. They're really trying to showcase their talent, and that they took the time over the last couple of years to really finesse and fine-tune their farm system to really become a staple within their organization. So it's great to see it. Look, for baseball, it's always great to see teams that you haven't seen in a long time really start to showcase themselves and really start to make an impact. And we're going to see that on the next slide too, because this next kid that we're going to talk about he's going to become in my opinion, what Fernando Tatis was when he first came into the league. This is what this kid's going to become, and I think he's even better than Tatis is.
Show it.
But yeah, the Diamondbacks doing what they're doing right now, it's hard for us as NL West fans to be okay with it, but it's great for baseball to see it happening.
Yep.
So this next rookie was just brought up in this last week, and he has done nothing short of be a spectacle to watch.
Yep.
Bill,
De La Cruz, he hit a home run 400 plus feet against the Dodgers. I was listening to the broadcast. Apparently he's a switch hitter. Apparently he hit a 400-foot home run right-handed in a AAA game, and then his very next at bat, he had to bat left-handed, and he hit a 400-foot home run. In his next at bat, left-handed, he can run like the wind. He had a triple. He had the third quickest time home plate to third base all season in the entire MLB. This guy is another Fernando Tatis Jr. He's another Ronald Acuna Jr. He's an exciting player. He makes things happen. He's going to be a lot of fun to watch. As long as he stays healthy, he is going to be a lot of fun to watch going forward.
Do you think this is the start of the turnaround for the Reds, bringing him up?
Absolutely. Again, what we said about the Diamondbacks. They're playing little ball. They're playing small ball. They're making things that they had 7 stolen bases in one game against the Dodgers. Okay. So if you walk somebody and then they can steal second, you got to run in scoring position.
Yep.
Right. That doesn't require a 5-run home run. Just get on base. So
I think what else is really special about De La Cruz is in his first 4 games, he hit the cycle. Mm-hmm. He hit for the cycle in his first 4 games in baseball, in MLB.
Not in one game. It took him all 4 games, but yeah.
No, I'm saying in a 4-game span, he hit the cycle. He hit a single, a double, a triple, and a home run. And his first MLB home run was a towering bomb. I think it went to the last, if I remember correctly, it went to the last row of the right field bleachers. Like it was all the way back there. So this kid is just going to be.
He's going to be phenomenal. He's going to be a special kid to watch.
He's going to be a sight to watch. I just really hope. And you and I, Bill, have seen a lot of things happen We've seen this team do a lot of stupid things. I don't want to see them underutilize him. And I don't want to see them do something and put him in a position where it's going to hurt the team longer. They need to keep bringing up youth.
6'5" switch hitter that plays shortstop and third base. So, pretty fun.
I want them to keep putting pieces around. I want them to keep growing the pieces around him. And that's where I don't want them to put him in that bad position. Because they did it with Joey Votto. Joey Votto came up with the Reds organization, killed it, and then they really didn't put anything around him to help him showcase more of his talent. I don't want that to be the problem with him.
Yeah. Well, and we'll talk more about him. We've only got 2 minutes left in the show, so we'll talk more about him going forward. But he's a special kid, that's for sure. He's a very special kid.
That he is. Well, Bill has put together a pretty interesting week for us today. Low on the podcast, but really high on the today in baseball. So, Bill, take us through the schedule.
So podcast, I'm gonna do a podcast Monday. You'll hear Tuesday. A friend of mine named Mo and his son are going to be on. Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday we have some guests coming on, but we're just confirming times, so I didn't want to launch that just yet. But next week we have the In the League morning show every morning, 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Eastern, and Megan and Garrett, who are Mets fans, are going to be on. Tuesday, Dave's going to be on as a White Sox fan. Wednesday, Jem is going to be on as a Dodger fan. These are IG Lives. They're 1/2 of an hour. We take you in the league for what happened the night before, the pitching matchups that you want to see, and just a few good conversations. So that's where we're at.
Also, make sure if you are in the Atlanta area, make sure you sign up for the Braves Phillies watch party on June 20th. It is going to be at the Park Bench and Battery, 21 plus only, from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. Watching the Braves take on the Phillies. Baseball Bill will be there. Thomas will be there. I'm not sure if Jackson will be able to make his appearance. Jackson might be there. We're not sure yet.
Oh, no. Let me tell you what Jackson's doing.
Oh.
Jackson's going to be at Citizens Bank Ballpark going live and pumping it back into us in Atlanta.
Oh, so it is going to be a amazing watch party. Like I said, if you haven't signed up yet, make sure you go to topfanrivalry.com, click on watch parties, and sign up for this one. After this one, though, about 10 days later, Bill is heading to Houston. He is going to Patterson Park in Houston. Again, another 21-plus bar where he will be in Houston watching the Astros take on the Texas Rangers, where the Rangers play. That is going to be Friday, June 30th from 6:30 p.m. to 10:30 p.m. Do not miss it. Make sure you sign up. Make sure you get your tickets. And, Bill, tell us about this.
Oh, the new team store is up. Diamonds are a girl's best friend. You got a shirt for it. That's all I'm going to say. I'm dropping the mic.
Well, for the females, that's a great shirt. But if you want one of the best baseball quotes of all time, make sure you look at that Best Games shirt where Babe Ruth puts one of the best baseball quotes you could ever find out there. It's amazing to see what you've done with the website. It's amazing to see how much it's grown and where it's going. So make sure you are keeping an eye on the website for everything Bill has coming, new articles, new podcasts, new merch, all the Top Fan watch parties. All of that can be found at topfanrivalry.com. And if you're watching this show, you're already in the locker room, so you already know about it. But what you may not know is that you can use the promo code ATD to get 10% off all of the merchandise in that team store. So make sure you get there. Make sure you use that code. Get that 10% off. Take advantage of it. Bill, any final comments for our wonderful listeners and viewers today?
That's it. We did great, Sammy. Like I said, let's drop the mic and let's move on to next week.
Let's head out. Hey, as always, from us to you, have a wonderful rest of your weekend. Enjoy baseball this week, and we will see you on the field. Have a great rest of your day.